So press record. And we're going to go ahead and get started. My introduction again. Hi, my name is Dr. Gloria Pope. I am the Director of Educational Enrichment at Destination Tomorrow, which is the Bronx LGBTQI Center. We have a current contract with Grow with Google to provide free workshops to justice impacted individuals. Today, our workshop is going to be about negotiations. Negotiations on how to get to the next level. You have to be able to negotiate. So negotiate like a pro. So we're going to go through this workshop. It runs for about 45 minutes. If you have any questions during this time, please feel to raise your hand. Those of you who are watching live on the Facebook channel, I'm actually viewing that as well. So you can just put your questions in the comments and we'll go ahead and answer any questions we see there. Okay, so let's get started. So what does it mean when we're talking about negotiation like a pro? Let me turn my volume off, so I'm just watching there. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead. Let's see. Last time I tried to stream this one was acting crazy. Here we go. Let's go back a page, a few pages. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. So our agenda for today is negotiating what, why, and when, steps for negotiation, confidence in negotiation, and organizing research in a digital document, as well as overcoming biases. And we're going to also do some practice negotiations as we go through here. There's different reasons why you would have to negotiate something. If you're a business owner, you're negotiating prices on products. You're negotiating with your clients. You're negotiating with services. You're negotiating for getting rental space, right? And the workspace, even if you're a job seeker, you're negotiating your salaries, you negotiate in your households, you negotiate in your relationships. So the cool thing about these Google workshops is a lot of them that come and play in all aspects of your life, because there's always a space in your life where you need to negotiate about something. Right? So we're going to cover what that looks like in different avenues, but definitely for entrepreneurs, this is good for you to talk about the art of negotiation, but let's look more so how you can actually use some of these skills in other versions and other versions or other places in your life. Okay, so what does it mean to negotiate? Negotiating is two or more people reach an agreement on a topic, discussion, contract, or price. One person usually holds the power, and it always requires compromise, right? So if say you're a contractor and you're going in for it, you're putting in a bid for something, you say, okay, the job is $10,000. I want to make $15,000. That's when you will enter into negotiations. You will meet with the other person who has the power to actually clear you for getting that. So say you're a job seeker looking for a job and you're talking to the actual hiring manager, you can negotiate. You wouldn't talk to another employee like, oh, they offered me 16, but I really want $18 an hour. So that conversation holds no relevance or no weight by speaking to that individual. So the key thing about negotiation is realizing you have to speak to somebody who holds the power. You can negotiate and go back and forth with other individuals, but it ultimately will not serve you any purpose when you're actually trying to make a real deal. So when people, speaking of entrepreneurs, if you're looking for a new supplier, you don't talk to the guy who works in the factory. You find the person who's actually responsible for the distribution within the space. So that's the important part we're talking about when we're looking at negotiating. And then requires compromise is sometimes you're going to have to give a little to get a little, but we're going to talk about that because sometimes as individuals, we try to get the deal done that we give up all of our individualized power, which is not the necessity when you're actually when you're working within negotiations. Now, say you're a person who you consider yourself I'm shy. I don't really like speaking out. I don't like advocating for myself. This workshop is good for you because it's going to give you some tools on how to talk through and how to get to the next level for you to have stronger negotiations about information or negotiations on actually naming your price and what that price will look like. Okay. All right. Things you negotiate at work. You negotiate a salary, an hourly rate, a raise, right? Job terms, vacation, flexible hours, bonuses, all those different types of things are always up for negotiation. Nothing is set in solid, like your hourly, your salary, your hourly rate, right? People sit here and say you go for interviews. No, even when you go for interviews, that there's always this thing here. It's never that you're going to make $12 an hour. It's either going to make it 12 and 14 based on experience, which means that there's an opportunity to negotiate. And if they're saying 12 to 14, it means you probably can make as much as 16 if you're good at negotiating your wage, if you're good at selling yourself, if you're good at showing that you're going to be an asset to the organization, you can negotiate what they're paying you and give yourself more leverage to the person who you're speaking to in regards to who has and holds the actual power. So people, they go for job interviews, they sit here and say, oh, okay, well, I see the job was offered and you offered it for $14 to $17. I'll take $15. Never downgrade yourself. Always go for the gusto. At least go for the top, or try to go at least $1 or $2 above it and see if they'll actually reach you. Because in most cases, what employers have put in a gap space so they can actually save money for the organization. Nobody goes and advertises the job at the max that they're going to pay somebody. That's not how it works. They actually put it in so there is some leverage way. So push over that limit, because you never know where it can go. When it comes down to getting a raise at your future employer, right? You have to negotiate your raise and what that's going to look like. Instead of that 1, 2, 3%, you want that 5%. What are they going to have to do to give you that 5% raise, right? So you're going to have to talk through, negotiate, and prove why you're worth that much of an increase, right? And you can do that. It's not that complicated, and it's actually worth it in the long run. Okay. Things you negotiate personally. This is a key thing. Buying a house, there's a complete negotiation. I remember when I brought my house, I started at a different thing and I ended up having to go up, and then there was competition. So then I had to renegotiate with myself and my own bank account to go up again to sustain for me to purchase my home. A car, when people say, oh, the car is at this price, this is what the price, they got the number on the sticker. Never offer that. I'll go in there and say, oh, you said that's $49,000, or here's $49,000. No, argue, negotiate, communicate, have conversation about it so you see if you can get that price down. Services and fees, contractors, mechanics, lawyers, it's all about negotiations. People are going to come out with you with rates that is the bare minimum they want to take, right? So you could negotiate, okay, so say if I give you this and we go back down, or we extend the service for a longer period of time. Can we just do this part today? There's different ways to negotiate. The answer is never no, the answer is always maybe. So it's up to us to sit here and navigate through what that maybe looks like, what that opportunity looks like. So these are different things that we negotiate personally. So like I said from the beginning, that we negotiate with business, we negotiate at jobs, we negotiate personally. We're always in a line of negotiation because everything is a conversation. You ever speak to your partner and they call you and ask you, oh, what do you want for dinner? And you sit there saying, well, and they say, oh, I'm going to make this. And you're like, oh, can we actually have that? That's a negotiation. Right? Because nobody wants to sit here and eat salmon every day. So maybe you want to negotiate a different opportunity or a different meal that they're going to actually offer. So there's ways to do that successfully without offending somebody else. And that's the thing about the art of negotiation, and the power of it is knowing how to reach people, connect with people, and so they can give you what you want without you actually offending them. Okay. Things for contracts, credit card interest rates. If you guys are not negotiating interest rates, you're doing it wrong. Credit card companies want to keep you, right? You can negotiate your rent. They said, oh, we're going to go up this high. Okay, well, maybe I'm going to start considering moving somewhere else. In our current culture, right, negotiation of your rent is not necessarily something you really want to do, because they have so much power, because housing is such a scarcity at this point, and finding somewhere affordable to live can be challenging. But yeah, give some pushback on the rent. If you're trying to move in somewhere and they're like, oh, the rent is going to be $1,200 for a studio, right? Which is actually affordable, especially for New Yorkers at this point, $1,200 for a studio. You're going to say, okay, well, based off the square footage and based off comp places in the area, they only are asking $1,050. Can you explain to me why this $1,200 makes it worth it here? And then challenge them. And then it might meet you in the middle. Okay, we can do $1,100. So when you're going into contracts, you have to have your information. Smaller purchases like secondhand furniture, gym memberships, you can actually negotiate all those things as well as the different contracts, but you have to do your research. You don't walk into a negotiation not knowing something. You got to walk into the negotiation having some information that you already know. You know what they're going to charge for it. You know what your interest rate looks like. So do your research and see what comparable information you can come back with to combat why they're charging you what they're charging you. So that just takes you finding out, Google some information, clearly use the Google some information, like what are current interest rates on credit cards. You get some comparable information. You can say, well, based on my credit score and my long time, you're charging me at 24%. I will prefer to go down to like 18, 17, or even a 12%. What can we do? Or you say, well, I want 9%. knowing you really is shooting for 12 or 13%. Right? So then it might meet you in the middle, but you got to negotiate these things because credit card companies want to keep you. They want to keep you, especially if you've been with them for a long period of time. Don't just take what they're giving you. Fight it and try to get options for other for lower interest rates. Okay, things you negotiate also quality of life. Like, do you negotiate quality of life? Family time, you negotiate. Going out, you negotiate. Dinner, you negotiate. Dates, you negotiate. You're negotiating all the time. Quality of life is a major negotiation. My quality of life is like, okay, for me, I want to go to the gym in the morning, so my partner has to bring my daughter to school, right? So to improve my quality, we have these negotiations. So in the afternoons, in the evenings, I do bath time. I spend time with the baby this way because I get out in the morning. So it's just about those type of things for quality of life, because I want to go to the gym every day, right? With family, it's about who's going to bring what, who's going to potluck dinners. Those things are negotiations, right? Oh, I want to hang out with you, but we ain't got no time. Let's meet via Zoom, as we see our Zoom guy here, right? Or on Google Meet, I should say, because we're on Google, right? Or a Google Meet opportunity. So for me, it's just like all these different things can make it easy for us to negotiate different aspects of our life. And the figure, if you step into your life every single day, like knowing that I can switch this up and make it suitable for me, that I can switch this up and I can make it what I want it to be, right? So it's all these things can happen through the art of negotiation. Okay, so why should you negotiate? People who don't negotiate their first job offers, it earns 1.1 to 1.5 million less over their careers, right? When you don't go in and advocate for how much money you really should be in paid somewhere, you over the longevity of your life, you're missing out on millions of dollars. Now figure if somebody offers you a position and you're going to accept it at $18 an hour, right? But you sat here and you negotiated and advocate, and so now you got it up to $20 an hour. Okay, I'm gonna get $20 an hour from this. That extra $2 that you ever get every hour, you can take that and now save that, because you knew in your mind that you was going to accept the 18, but you negotiated up to 20. So now you have that extra $2 for that extra cushion that you can utilize for something else, right? New jobs equals new earning potential. Sometimes it's a lot easier to look for a new position somewhere else than it is to actually get a raise in your current position. Most companies are set with their finances and where they are, but it necessarily won't even offer you out an opportunity to earn more income, right? So remember, hiring managers want you to take the job. If they brought you in for an interview, they halfway like you already. And if you know you interview well and you know you have the potential to really help the organization strive, like you got to push the negotiations for what they're trying to pay you. Persuasive skills are important for many jobs. So you also got to persuade people, like, listen, you really want me. This is what I can offer. My brain power is going to bring your organization to the next level. This is what I can bring to you. This is what I'm going to bring to the table. So with all that in play is how you get your companies and organizations to give you more money. You have to push for it. You have to advocate for it. You have to start the conversation. Okay, so there's basic steps to negotiation. As we see, I said it already. First thing, do your research. Don't ever step into an environment with not knowing what you're actually talking about. When you go for negotiations, you have to have backing of information with you, okay? So you're gonna determine your baseline salary. What do you wanna make? Where you wanna be at, right? Social line salaries in the job set workshop, use salary and job search websites for salaries. You can clearly go into Google and say jobs near me, and you can find different positions or the position you have, right? Job title, location, experience, and special skills, Google that information. Also look at the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So those are key places where you can start. Now, say if you're a business owner, you're trying to negotiate a wage, a price on a product, right? You're gonna look at other organizations who are offering the same product to see if they'll comp the price that you found somewhere else. Like, you know what, I really want to keep my business with you because we have this great relationship, but unfortunately I went searching and I found this product at this rate with this organization. I found it at this rate with this organization. So this way you can have the feedback to get the information to the individuals so they can see that you know what you're talking about. Okay, so asking friends or colleagues, right? That's also part of doing your research. You talk to people you know, talk to people who are in the same position, talk to people who you want to be like, who are in a greater position than you are, right? So be careful before asking coworkers, right? So if you're negotiating a raise at your job, you don't talk to your coworkers about that. because that's just not the place for that. You find somebody at a comparable job somewhere else, right? Consider your experience and educational background. So your coworkers may not be the best person for this conversation because one, you don't know how much they make. Because say you sitting there saying, well, right now I'm making 45,000 and I want to get to 55,000. So what do you think? Because I have this experience and I have this other stuff. And you might be sitting across from somebody who has the same exact degree with you, same education, and they didn't advocate from the first day and they only making $40,000. Then it comes to the conversation, oh, you're making $5,000 more than me. Then you have that awkward moment between each other. So colleagues may not be the best person for that. What you can do is you can talk with them about, well, I have to meet with Tanya, the hiring manager. What about my salary? What do you think that should approach? What do you think my approach may be? And not necessarily telling them all the information, but giving them kind of basic feedback on what you're looking to do. Okay, so find rental prices for comparable apartments. So if you get apartments, look at other apartments around, right? Look at apartments in the area. See, don't wait till you get to that particular place. Ask, so say you're going to a specific street, right? Go on Zillow, look at apartments in the area that are around there. Look, you don't use Craigslist anymore, or Google apartments around 95 Smith Street in Bronx, New York, right? And then you can find out what other comparable apartments look around in the area. So then this way you can figure out how you can negotiate the rent. So even if you're trying to find something, speak to a realtor. You have a realtor friend, ask the listing agent. So I'm looking to move into this building. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but this is what they're charging. Is this an average rent for this particular location? Like, ask questions. Don't go into, oh, I'm gonna look at this apartment without even knowing what's going on first. Why is this space bar? Okay, so what do you want out of this negotiation? You want a raise, right? New job title, better price. Break your goal down to 3 categories. So be very clear about what you're actually negotiating, right? Don't go in there and say, okay, well, I want to make more money. I don't want to be here every day. I want to work remote half the time. I want more insurance. I want this. Like, you got to knock down one goal at a time. So just be very clear about, if you want to change, if you want too many things for one particular job to ship, that means it's time for you to start looking for another job. If it's this is my benefits are no good, this is no good, that's no good, that's no good. That's just showing you that you have too many things on your list. So once you get past like 2 or 3 things on the list that you want to change, that means you need to start changing your vision and changing where you're at, because more than likely you're not going to be able to accomplish that. Okay, so what's your ideal outcome? So ideal salary, rent, monthly fee, based on your research, right? What's your bottom line, lowest amount you're going to accept or highest amount you're going to pay? And what's your plan B? If you don't get what you want, what are you really going to do? Like, are you going to quit? Are you not going to take the place? Like, what are you going to do? So with job placement and jobs, there's different things you can ask for, like more vacation time, right? So say your job is like, okay, we're paying you to, okay, we can't do, they say, okay, you're going to put a 45,000, you wanted 55,000. They say the most we can do is 48. And then you say to me, okay, you know what? I'll take the 48 with an additional week's paid vacation. They might say, bet we can do that. We're going to pay you the week anyway. So we can maybe give you the extra vacation to appease you, to give you time back, right? Or a work from home option. Okay, we can't pay you the 55, we'll give you the 48, or we'll cut your work day down to 6 hours and still give you the 30, still give you the full-time pay. Okay, bet I'll be able to get out of here early, get my daughter from school, or whatever I need to do. Tuition reimbursement. Okay, well, I know you wanted to go back to school. We talked about your professional development. We have funding that we can funnel into that. Childcare expenses, community costs, retirement matching, signing on bonuses, right? Free internet service, backyard access. So all these different types of things are things that you can negotiate within renting properties and within jobs. So these are things you want to add on. So say you don't get everything you want financially, there's other perks that you can put in place that can actually bring you just amount of pleasure. And that's when you're talking about negotiating your quality of life, because all these things on this particular list actually affect your quality of life. Okay, contingencies. If I achieve my goal, then I get this reward, right? Acquire a certain number of clients, earn a raise, reach sales goals, accrue more vacation time, meet performance benchmarks, get a private office, work for a year, have an option to work from home, pay rent on time, have an option to adopt a dog. So like you want to put these goals, these contingency things, these rewards that would make you feel better about something. So you're moving into a new place. Oh, we don't accept dogs here. We don't do this. Okay, if I pay my rent on time and I give you no problems and my place is always clean, can I rent a pet? Can I rent a pet? Can I actually adopt a pet? Right? Those are perks that's going to improve on your quality of life, because sometimes it's not always just about the money. Money matters, right? But time and love and consistency can weigh so much heavier on your life than just making money. So it's about picking some options as your contingency plans that might support some of your other options. Okay, so demonstrate that this is a win-win offer, right? You both be better off if we can compromise on the agreement, speak in terms of the other person's interest, and explain how you compromise benefits them. For example, a contractor may have more future work if they give you a better deal on today's project. But that's how that works. Like say you go to your hairstylist and she's like, oh, okay, well, you know, I charge $150 a session. And you're like, okay, but I'm gonna come see you twice a month. So if I pay the $150 now, and I pay for the first 3 sessions, you see I'm coming consistently twice a month, can we take that down to 140? Can we take that down to 125? Because I'm a consistent customer. Or say, now, okay, if we go down to 125, I'm going to bring my cousin, who I know will also pay for your service. Can I get a referral discount? Right? Not saying, oh, can you just give me this discount because I said so? Like, no, just find different ways to negotiate with individuals so you can save money or you can earn other different types of perks. So say if you're saying, say, oh, okay, so how about for every 5th person I bring you, can I get a free session? That's a win-win for everybody. You are going to get the free session out of the free hairdo for that one particular session, and they're going to get possibly 5 new continual clients. So those are the type of conversations you need to have with people, because it's a win-win for everybody. Okay, support your points with data. Increase subscriber retention for based off the work that I'm going to do, acquire new clients that we just mentioned, 30% more work done. If I am able to get more vacations and more relaxation time, I know for a fact I am far more productive. I'm far more productive. I currently only work a 4-day work week, and I think I'm the most productive that I've been in my whole life. Like I do killer work in between Monday and Thursday. Friday, I kind of dibble dabble with some other stuff that I do entrepreneur-wise. And Saturday and Sunday is really mostly my family time. But Monday through Thursday, like I go hard because I know I'm only doing it Monday through Thursday, and I have 3 days of my own time, right? But honestly, because I don't believe in a 5-day work week, I don't think much. That's just how I feel about it. But if you prove that you'll be more productive because you'll have more time, less time in your commute. So say you're working, you live in Connecticut, and you're working in Manhattan, that could be an 1.5-hour commute. If you sit here and advocate for yourself and negotiate for you to have at least 1 day a week that you're working remotely, you can say, well, our productivity is going to increase because I'm going to not have the exhaustion of commuting. I'm not going to have the exhaustion of the thought of commuting home, that I'll be able to be solid, get my workload done, and then be done with my day. And you're probably going to find that's going to be your most productive day because you're going to have access to get other things done. Okay, so how does bias work against you? So let's talk a little bit about bias. We talk about bias in so many different ways, bias between women, bias between people of color, bias from religion, bias from sexual orientation, bias from anything, right? Because we can experience bias. So let's talk about that. Okay, bias in negotiations. We have a thing called implicit bias, right? A prejudice someone has, but they're not aware of. Gender bias, racial bias, ability bias, sexual orientation bias, or religious bias. I just mentioned all of those, right? And people don't realize it actually exists. So somebody comes in and they're already judging you based off of your appearance. They're already judging you based off your name on your resume. They're already judging you off of anything, honestly. They can judge you with your sound of your voice. I mean, this person doesn't sound very smart. So people, off first contact, they establish how they feel about you as an overall individual, right? And that can definitely affect your negotiations. Okay. So bias negotiations. Seek out companies that publicize equitable hiring practices, equal opportunity employers, network with colleagues with similar roles. If you feel discriminated against, leave the meeting. So you want to look at who's there. So say you're applying for a corporate position, right? And they have a website and they have a board of directors. Who is on their board? Okay. Like, you know, if you're a person of color and you go to this organization and you look at their board and their board has no people of color, I'm not sure this is the agency or organization you want to work for. Go to their social media. Who are they talking about? Who are they promoting? Who works for them? What is their mission? Who are they reaching? All those, because most organizations, remember, companies are started because somebody thought it was a great idea. And that great idea may not be equitable for everybody. Every organization that's established is not equitable for everybody because it's not everything is for everybody. So that doesn't mean you should be going there really trying to reach out for who even is. May not that even be biased, may even be wrong. They may be biased and just sending to a particular group, right? And that's a big thing about being equal opportunity employers, because with that, you can sit here and find individuals who are willing and able to search out for different employers for different reasons, especially with people with disabilities, right? People who have wheelchairs or other ways differently able. It's interesting that we find companies that are there. If you go to the company, it's like there's no access. Like you come to the front door, like there's no ramp. That's not a place for you, because they should have considered that. Things should be wheelchair accessible, because some people walk with canes, some people have other type of disabilities, right? That they need to be able to get somewhere. So if you're going to an employer, they say, oh, you say, well, I'm differently able, I'm in a wheelchair. And they say, oh, well, I don't know how we're going to interview you. Don't take offense to that. They're not where you want to be, because that also means that they're not going to have adequate bathroom space for you. They're not going to have the adequate office space for you. So you want to find a space where you're going to be comfortable where you're at. And it's not that everybody is not doing it. Maybe they just don't have the means to do it. Maybe they have a space that's not set up in a way that they can get it done. So it's really about just finding agencies that are really fit your needs and what you're trying to do and that are comfortable for you. Okay. So it's your turn to prepare to negotiate a little bit here. So prepare to negotiate. When do you negotiate? First thing, choose the right time. Track the job, track what's going on, track how things work, right? You're going to choose the right opportunity, make the effort worth the payoff. So you don't just say, oh, I want to raise, and you're going to walk in there tomorrow and do that. No, schedule a meeting. Hi, Tommy, I really want to have a conversation with you. When are you available to really have a conversation with me? And they say, well, what it may want to be about? I say, well, I want to talk about my work performance. So then it kind of, say, oh, well, I want to talk to you, I want more money. Now, that's not necessarily what you want to say. We'll talk about my work performance. They say, okay, and they're going to be able to read through the lines and realize that you want more money. So what you do is you have that conversation. So now they're also in the right mind. They're going to set it up for a time where they can actually engage in that conversation with you. If you just show up knocking on somebody's office, you don't know what type of off day they just had. You don't know what they've been going through. You don't know what their kids are putting them through. You don't know what their partner's possibly putting them through. So you want to have that conversation when you know they're prepared to have it with you. Because say they schedule it for you for Tuesday at 2, and they realize they had to have this conversation about your work performance, and at Tuesday at 1, they just found out their grandmother died. They're not going to keep that money with that meeting with you Tuesday at 2. But what if you take it behind yourself to walk into their office Tuesday at 2 and their grandmother just died, and you still insist on having a conversation? You're not going to get the best out of individuals. So schedule the right time and make sure it's the right opportunity. Okay, so prepare to negotiate. You've been offered a job with a better title at a new company. You're meeting with HR, okay? So how do you prepare for this type of negotiation? How do we get ready? One is that we definitely do our research on the organization, right? So we're going to talk about how we can utilize different tools via here on Google to actually support with this. So we have Google Docs, you can use pen and paper, and you also can use basic research. Okay. So prepare to negotiate. So those of you who never used Google Docs before, I love Google Docs because you take it with you everywhere via your drive. So negotiation research, put all your research somewhere, because the last thing you want to do in the middle of a job interview is pull out all your papers like this that you've done all your research on. Nah, put it on your cell phone, because when your cell phone, you can have, you open up your Google Doc and you can read through your research and your bullet points as you keep on going through your presentation. Or you can use this document and you can actually stream it to them, or you can share it with them if you feel like it. Not necessarily what you really want to do, but you may want to share the document about what you have facts. You put pretty charts on there. You can go on and do anything with it, right? Okay. So you're going to prepare to negotiate. You're going to record key details in your accomplishment. So your current situation, I'm a sales manager in Chicago, and I have 5 years experience. I have a BA in communication. My current salary is about $63,000. Accomplishments that I have done. Put those things, those notes in and read through them, understand them, know what they are, be aware of that information as you go through this conversation so you know how your selling points for yourself. Okay, so prepare to negotiate. Visit Google, right? So you're going to look at what the salaries in those positions look like in your area. So right here it says in Google, think you'll put sales manager salaries, Chicago, college graduate, mid-level. And then you're going to get some results. It will come right up, right? So then you're going to add what you have for your research. So it's in here saying average salary is about $69,000, right? And typically benefits are 3 weeks paid time, 401k, medical, dental, and vision. So what are some of the new things that we can do? Okay, so record your goal. So your ideal or your goal offer is 62,000, right? The average salary is about 69. The bottom line is I'm not making less than 67. Backup plan possible. So okay, you can't do that. You're going to do 4 weeks of PTO. I'll take the extra weeks off, right? Upgrade your bonus structure, reimbursement for train tickets, 1 day a week remote, professional development, childcare reimbursement, other options that you can come up with that substantiate why you want to maintain this position. Okay, so you're going to record your goals, right? So your research on a set, so also what you have done, right, and what you've accomplished. So current situation, cheese listed for 450 on sale. Also say if you do this for somewhere else, right? So your goal offer, you want to get down to 110. So you could, this also applies for jobs, and this also applies for like when you're looking for different products, okay? So again, it goes back to, as you go through the negotiations, like childcare reimbursement is not really important, but the highlights that I want is the time, the 1 day a week remote and the 4 weeks PTO. Okay, so prepare mentally for the conversation. How are you going to get ready? Prepare mentally for a conversation. Let's list your talking points, like practice them, know what you're talking about. Don't just walk in there and just wail off at the mouth. Like be prepared to actually have a real argument. Recognize the worst case scenario, what that possibly may be within this case. Okay, identify more nervous habits and be mindful of your body language. So you want to be clear, no ticking, no I don't know. Like, no, you want to stand there strong, like, listen, I really want to have a conversation about the position. I've been here for a while, and I think it's at this point that I deserve to have this 3% raise because this is how much I brought to the organization in new profits, as well as what I intend on bringing in the next 5 years. Boom, sell it. You got to sell it to people. So you got to see how you're moving. Right? So now it's time to negotiate. Okay. So you're gonna break into a power pose, be aware of your body language. Your body language matters. So you're not gonna sit there and say, well, you know, I think that I want to do this. Now you're gonna stand there real straight, real strong up front. If you're not really gonna be having a sit down conversation, you might want to cross your legs and be real clear, shoulders up strong and broad, consistent eye contact, and just be strong. You want to be like this, well, you know, I think. No, well, I'm at this point in time, I'm aware of how much I've supported this organization. So I think at this point, I'm inclined to ask for a raise. This is what I'd like to negotiate with you today. What are my opportunities here? Right? Be clear. You see the difference? 2 totally different people. So you got to be that strong person, but that takes you looking in the mirror and seeing how you're doing. And the biggest thing about people, like I'm an employer, I employ people all the time. I interview people all the time. I have to negotiate wages with individuals all the time. And people are so easy just to take the wage that I give them. It's like, yo, give some pushback, give some fight back, argue back with me a little bit. Not necessarily argue, but let's negotiate. Let's talk about what you think you're worth. Okay, time to negotiate. Have a conversation, say thank you, reiterate your interest, and the focus or your negotiation. Okay, so you're gonna start talking about it, right? Have a conversation, say thank you, you know, just talk and keep talking about how you're gonna bring something great to the table, what you're gonna offer. Because people will negotiate you easier when you have something to offer them back. Okay, take a moment to consider the offer that they give you first, right? And allow them to speak to you first. Because remember, they hold the power. So you want to, the trick is you want to make them feel like they're in control, right? When you want to negotiate something, you want them to think that they're in control. So you let them speak first, you hear their things, and then you come back and you combat everything that they said. And use neutral language. Okay, so in the process, then you might have to use your backup plan because it didn't work out. So prepare to decline the offer and walk away. It's okay to find something that works better for your situation. AKA go get a new job. It's like, you know what, this sounds great, but unfortunately that's not going to work for me. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to kind of figure out what I want to move forward and what I want to do. One or two things are going to happen. Either they're going to sit here and say, okay, well, are you giving us our 2 weeks? I'm saying, no, I'd love it here. This is my organization. I really wanted to work on better options for myself while I'm here, which is why I went through my contingency plan with you and some of my other additional options. But since the organization can't match my needs directly, I think it's going to be, I'm going to still sustain my work here, but I think I'm going to have to look for another option. And you're gonna walk out of there and they're like, oh my God, did they halfway quit? Because the funny thing about employers, you can halfway quit them and still kind of be there. Because when they're gonna sit here and say, oh no, now you're fired, then you definitely don't want to be there. I didn't say I was quitting. I just say you can offer me what I needed. So I'm gonna find something new and then I will give you proper notice once I find something new, right? Okay. So negotiation recap. Step 1, do your research, right? Be very clear on what your goal is. You have to emphasize the benefits. I think that step 3 is one of the most important parts of trying to win a negotiation. You have to come with individuals with the benefits. People want to know what they're going to gain from this negotiation. And then come out with the benefits, but then you got to get the supporting points. These are the benefits I'm telling you about, but these are my supporting points I have and what I'm going to gain, what you're going to gain from this. Okay. Key phrases that help get you started. Are you willing to be flexible on this instead? Because of my experience in education, that wasn't what I was expecting based on my research. What is your policy on this? I really appreciate you working with me. Right. And that's what negotiations come from. I had a staff member who came to me yesterday who said, oh, their grandfather is ill and they need to be home earlier to be with the grandparent and the grandmother to support until their mother comes home. I said, oh, okay, no problem. And they said, well, their shift is usually 8 to 4. And they said, well, I really need to be there by 3:30. So can I leave early every day? And I looked at them, I was just like, just take your break at 3 o'clock instead of doing your lunch at 12. And then they're like, wait. And it took them a second to realize that I negotiated them to the best terms. So now they're just it's taking their lunch at the end of the day, but they're leaving an hour, they can consider leaving an hour early. It's a win-win for everybody. Now I have them to do breaks for other people during the day and they're getting what they need to be able to attend to their family. So this is where the negotiation comes in, where you can be with somebody like, say, somebody like me, who I think I'm one of the greatest bosses alive, because I'm all about people's negotiating and make sure people's individual lives are happy. I'm always negotiating with my staff, right? But you can advocate for yourself and kind of create that environment and that conversation with your employer, but you also have to come with what they're going to gain from you, right? So negotiating in the real world, pick low stakes situations with a flexible price, right? Sales prices on shoes, used furniture, gym, membership. So we talked a lot about already how we look about negotiating when we talk about pricing, but when you're going out shopping, you got to negotiate these wages. These prices, how you want to save on money. So sales prices. Do you realize that when you go shopping, say you're going shopping at, so you're going shopping at Old Navy. You go in March, well, to February, all the spring clothes go out. By the time May 1st hits, everything that was those $45 jeans in March are now down to $20, right? Because everything goes on a sale price. So why do we not negotiate in these spaces? Well, resale stores are hard about, like boutique stores, you might have more of a chance where you can negotiate pricing on what things are. Oh, okay, can I get a 15% discount on that? Can I get a coupon? What do you have? I'm spending all this money. What are you going to offer me, right? Do you ever try writing letters to like places like Old Navy and asking for coupons? They'll actually send them to you right away if you give them a large, great enough argument about how you're shopping for your children on a consistent basis. And I would like to know if you have any available coupons or anything. You get stuff like that. Negotiate it out. You get you a better price on steps from this workshop, okay? Let's go on. Let's move on. Okay. List potential situations to negotiate. Write a script. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Back to this page. Reflect on your experience. What are you proud of? What could you have done better? What surprised you? And try again, right? So negotiations may not win the first time. You may not win the second time. But one or two things are going to happen. If you're not getting what you need, you're going to move on or you're going to win. because at some point in time, you're going to want to win. We all want to win. We all don't want to sit still. We all want to make gains. We all want to make money. We all want free time. We all want all these different things. So we have to negotiate those things. But you got to come with what are going to be the benefits of me negotiating with you. Okay. Recap. Negotiating what, when, and why. Okay. Steps for negotiation. We talked about confidence in our negotiation, because you got to be confident. You got to be very clear, right? You can't negotiate with this, oh, I'm not sure. Oh, I think that. No, you need to step up and say, no, this is what I want. This is what we're going to do. Overcoming bias is important in practicing negotiation. Okay, so Grow with Google is a great workshop. We offer these workshops. You can keep learning. Grow Google releases a new workshop every single Thursday, and they have all these other ones you can go and just check out. Some of them are like 9, 10, 15 minutes long. If you're looking for additional workshops that I have posted, you can follow me on YouTube as well at Black Girl Everything. You can go to the Destination Tomorrow website, www.destinationtomorrow.org, to find out more about our organization. Okay, so keep learning there. All right, and next page. All right, so Google also offers free workshops and trainings for those of you who are interested in there and doing free workshops and training. Okay, so no experience necessary. If you're looking to get into some other free certificates, I have access to that. Please feel free to email me at drpope@destinationtomorrow.org. That's drpope@destinationtomorrow.org. On your registration form for registering for this particular workshop, you have my email. You can click on there, and I have a thing called Apply Digital Skills, where I can set you up with other self-led courses and show you how you can share that information with other individuals. So thank you again for your time today. Again, my name is Dr. Gloria Pope. We have just worked on a session on negotiations. So I wish you the best luck as you go out here and negotiate in the world. Please let me, if you have any questions, please let me know. We can stop. I can answer any questions you may have about my process of negotiation. I negotiate contracts all the time. But until then, thank you so much for attending today. And those of you watching on Facebook, thank you for Facebook. Please share this post with other individuals. And again, this workshop will be available on the Black Girl Everything website, as well as the Black Girl Everything YouTube channel in the next couple of days. Thank you. Bye-bye.